Good morning, beloved. I want you to take a moment right now, wherever you are, and feel the weight you've been carrying. Yes, that weight. The one you pretend isn't there when people ask how you're doing. The burden that makes your shoulders ache and your heart heavy before your feet even touch the floor each morning. You know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? Today's morning prayer is about finally setting it down. Father, here I am again, coming to you in this quiet moment before the world demands my attention. I come not with perfect words or polished prayers, but with hands full of burdens I was never meant to carry alone. Lord, you see me struggling under the weight of responsibilities that seem too heavy, worries that keep me awake at night, and fears that whisper lies in my ear when I'm trying to trust you. I confess, God, that I've been trying to be stronger than I actually am. I've been carrying burdens that belong to you, wrestling with problems that are bigger than my human capacity to solve. I've been walking through life with my fists clenched tight around situations I cannot control, and my back is breaking under the load. This morning prayer is my white flag of surrender, Lord. I'm tired of pretending I've got it all figured out. You know that situation at work that's been eating away at my peace? The one where I lie awake calculating and recalculating, trying to find a way forward that doesn't exist in my own strength. Father, I place it in your hands right now. I've been carrying the stress of deadlines, difficult people, and financial pressures as if the entire outcome depends on me. But you remind me in your word that you are Jehovah Jireh, my provider, and that you have plans to prosper me and not to harm me. And what about this family situation that feels like it's tearing me apart from the inside out? Lord, you see the sleepless nights I've spent worrying about my children, my spouse, my parents. I've been trying to fix people who can only be healed by your touch. I've been carrying guilt for decisions that were made long before I had the wisdom to know better. This morning prayer is my declaration that I'm releasing my loved ones into your capable hands, trusting that you love them even more than I do. Father, I bring you this financial burden that feels like a mountain I cannot move. The bills that seem to multiply faster than my income, the unexpected expenses that shake my faith, the dreams that feel impossible because of numbers on a bank statement. I've been carrying the weight of provision as if you are not the same God who fed 5,000 with a boy's lunch. Forgive me for forgetting that you own the cattle on 1,000 hills and that you know my needs before I even ask. Have you ever felt like you're drowning in responsibilities that were never meant to be handled alone? I'm speaking to that parent who's been losing sleep over a rebellious teenager, wondering where you went wrong. I'm talking to that person who's been carrying the emotional weight of everyone in your family because you're the strong one. You know what I mean, don't you? The one everyone calls when life falls apart, but who do you call when your world is crumbling? Lord, I lift up every person hearing this morning prayer who has been the rock for everyone else but feels like they're crumbling inside. You see the single mother who's been trying to be both parents, the man who lost his job and feels like he's failed his family, the woman caring for aging parents while her own health is declining. Father, they've been carrying burdens that were meant to be shared with you. This morning I declare that I am not Atlas, meant to hold up the world on my shoulders. I am your child, created to walk in partnership with you, to cast my cares upon you because you care for me. Every worry I've been nursing like a sick child, every problem I've been turning over and over in my mind like a puzzle with missing pieces, I surrender to you right now. You know that health concern that's been stealing my joy, the test results I'm waiting for, the symptoms that worry me in the quiet moments, the aging body that reminds me daily of my mortality. Father, I've been carrying fear about my future, anxiety about pain, and dread about what might be discovered. But you are Jehovah Rapha, my healer, and whether you choose to heal my body or sustain me through whatever comes, I trust your perfect will. I think about the relationships that have been weighing on my heart, the friendship that ended badly, the family member who won't speak to me, the marriage that feels more like a business arrangement than a love story. Lord, I've been carrying the weight of trying to fix what only you can heal. I've been losing sleep over words that were said in anger, bridges that were burned in moments of hurt, and connections that feel irreparably broken. Father, this morning prayer is my acknowledgement that I cannot heal hearts, change minds, or force forgiveness. I can only love, forgive, and pray. I release every person who has hurt me into your hands. I release every relationship that I've been trying to resurrect through my own efforts. I trust that you can make beauty from ashes and restore what seems permanently broken. And what about those dreams that feel like they're dying a slow death? The goals I set with such hope that now feel foolish and unrealistic. Lord, I've been carrying disappointment like a heavy coat, wearing it everywhere I go. I've been grieving the life I thought I would have by now, the success I thought would come easier, the happiness I thought would be more constant. If this morning prayer is resonating with your heart, if you're recognizing yourself in these words, would you take a moment to show me by leaving a like? When you do, you're not just supporting this content, you're declaring that you're ready to stop carrying your burdens alone. Your like helps this message reach others who are struggling under loads they were never meant to bear. Father, I confess that I've been operating under the lie that I have to have all the answers, that I have to be strong enough to handle whatever life throws at me. I've been carrying pride disguised as responsibility, independence masquerading as faith. But you never asked me to be self-sufficient. You asked me to be dependent on you, to trust in you with all my heart, and lean not on my own understanding. This morning, I choose to acknowledge that your ways are higher than my ways, your thoughts higher than my thoughts. The situation that keeps me awake at night, spinning scenarios and trying to control outcomes, I surrender my need to understand why things are happening the way they are. I release my demand for immediate answers and instant solutions. You know that secret burden I carry, the one I haven't told anyone about. The shame that follows me like a shadow, the regret that colors every happy moment, the fear that someone will discover who I really am behind the mask I wear. Father, even that burden, especially that burden, I place in your hands. You know my thoughts before I think them, my words before I speak them, and you love me anyway. I've been carrying guilt over past mistakes as if your forgiveness has an expiration date. I've been punishing myself for sins you've already forgotten, wearing my failures like chains when you've already set me free. This morning prayer is my declaration that I receive your complete forgiveness and extend that same grace to myself. Lord, I think about the burden of trying to live up to everyone's expectations, the pressure to be perfect, to have my life together, to be an example that never stumbles. I've been carrying the weight of other people's opinions as if their approval determines my worth. But you remind me that I am fearfully and wonderfully made, chosen and beloved, not because of what I do, but because of who I am in you. Have you been trying to earn love instead of receiving it freely? Have you been performing for acceptance instead of resting in the truth that you're already accepted? This morning prayer is for you, friend. You don't have to carry the burden of proving your worth. You're valuable because you're his child, period. Father, I surrender the burden of comparison that has been stealing my joy, the constant measuring of my life against others, the social media scrolling that leaves me feeling inadequate, the wondering why everyone else seems to have it figured out while I'm still struggling. I've been carrying envy disguised as ambition, jealousy masquerading as motivation. I release the need to have what others have, to be where others are in their journey, to achieve what others have accomplished. My path is unique, my timeline is different, and my story is still being written by your loving hand. I choose to celebrate others' victories without diminishing my own worth, to learn from others' success without condemning my own process. This burden of perfectionism that I've been dragging around like a ball and chain, I surrender it to you, Lord. The impossible standards I've set for myself, the self-criticism that never lets up, the fear of making mistakes that keeps me from taking risks. I've been carrying the weight of trying to be flawless in a world where grace is abundant and mercy is new every morning. You know those sleepless nights when my mind races with all the what-ifs and worst-case scenarios? When I lie in bed carrying tomorrow's problems along with today's troubles? Father, I give you my anxious thoughts, my worried mind, my tendency to catastrophize situations that haven't even happened yet. You remind me that each day has enough trouble of its own and that you give grace sufficient for each moment. I've been carrying the burden of control, trying to manage outcomes, manipulate circumstances, and orchestrate results. But you are sovereign, and your plans cannot be thwarted. What I've been calling leadership might actually be rebellion against your perfect will. What I've been calling responsibility might actually be a lack of trust in your ability to handle my life better than I can. Father, I surrender my need to have everything figured out before I take the next step. I release my demand for guarantees before I move forward in faith. The burden of certainty in an uncertain world, the weight of trying to predict and prepare for every possible scenario, I place it all in your capable hands. And what about this burden of loneliness that I carry even in a crowded room? The feeling that nobody really understands what I'm going through, that I'm walking this difficult path all by myself? Lord, you promised never to leave me or forsake me, even when human companionship fails, even when friends disappoint and family misunderstands. You are always present. I've been carrying the weight of feeling forgotten by you during the silent seasons, abandoned during the difficult times, overlooked when others seem to receive the blessings I've been praying for. But you see me, you know me, and you're working. Even when I can't see your hand moving in my circumstances, this morning prayer is my reminder that I am never truly alone. When I feel isolated in my struggles, when I think no one understands my pain, when I wonder if you hear my cries, you are there. Closer than my own breath, more constant than my heartbeat, more faithful than my feelings. Father, I bring you the burden of disappointment with how my life has turned out so far. The dreams that didn't materialize, the prayers that seem unanswered, the doors that remained closed despite my persistent knocking. I've been carrying resentment toward you, questioning your goodness, wondering if you really have my best interests at heart. But this morning, I choose to trust your heart even when I don't understand your ways. I believe that you are good even when life feels hard. I trust that you are working all things together for my good even when individual circumstances seem to contradict that promise. My feelings may fluctuate, but your character remains constant. Have you been angry with God but afraid to admit it? Have you been carrying disappointment with Him while trying to maintain a facade of perfect faith? This morning prayer gives you permission to be honest about your struggles while still choosing to trust His love for you. Lord, I surrender the burden of trying to time everything perfectly, the frustration with your timing, the impatience with the process, the desire to fast forward through the difficult seasons to get to the blessing. I've been carrying dissatisfaction with the present while pinning all my hope on an uncertain future, but you are teaching me that this moment right now is where you meet me. Not in some future version of my life when everything is resolved, but here in the mess, in the middle of the struggle, in the uncertainty of not knowing what comes next. You are present in the process, not just in the outcome. I release my timeline to you, Father. The expectations I had for my life by this age, the milestones I thought I would have reached, the stability I assumed would come automatically with adulthood. Your timing is perfect, even when it feels impossibly slow to my impatient heart. This burden of financial pressure that wakes me up at night, calculating and recalculating, I place it in your hands, Lord. the bills that exceed my income, the unexpected expenses that throw off my careful budgets, the dreams that seem financially impossible. I've been carrying the weight of provision as if you are not Jehovah Jireh, the God who provides. You know every need before I even recognize it myself. You see the bills coming before they arrive in my mailbox. You're already preparing provision for needs I don't even know I'll have. Why do I carry financial worry as if you are unaware of my situation or unable to handle my needs? Father, I choose to trust your provision even when my bank account looks insufficient. I believe in your abundance even when my circumstances suggest scarcity. I will be grateful for what I have while trusting you for what I need, refusing to carry the burden of tomorrow's provision when you've promised to supply all my needs according to your riches in glory. And this burden of parenting that feels too heavy for my shoulders, Lord, you entrusted these precious souls to my care, but I've been trying to parent in my own strength. The worry about their choices, their future, their spiritual development, the guilt over my mistakes, the fear that I'm not enough, the overwhelming responsibility of shaping human beings. I surrender my children to you, Father. They are your children first, on loan to me for a season. I cannot protect them from every hurt, prevent every mistake, or guarantee their success. But I can love them, pray for them, and trust you to work in their lives in ways I never could. This morning prayer is my acknowledgement that perfect parenting doesn't exist, but your perfect love covers all my imperfections. When I fail them, you are still faithful to them. When I don't have the answers, you are still their source of wisdom. When I cannot be everything they need, you remain their everything. Lord, I think about the burden of aging parents and shifting family dynamics, the role reversal that feels uncomfortable, the difficult decisions about care and independence, the grief of watching strong people become fragile. I've been carrying the weight of trying to solve problems that have no perfect solutions, trying to halt the natural progression of life. You are sovereign over every season of life, including the difficult ones. You give grace for each stage, strength for each challenge, and wisdom for each decision. I don't have to carry the burden of preventing natural changes or controlling outcomes beyond my influence. I surrender my need to fix everything and everyone, Father. The compulsion to solve other people's problems, to rescue them from consequences, to be their savior when only you can fill that role. I've been carrying burdens that belong to others, enabling dependency instead of encouraging growth. Help me to love without carrying, to care without controlling, to support without suffocating. Show me the difference between helpful assistance and harmful enabling. Give me wisdom to know when to step in and when to step back, when to speak and when to remain silent. This burden of unresolved conflict that I've been nursing, I place it in your hands, Lord, the relationship that ended badly, the words that cannot be taken back, the hurt that feels too deep to heal. I've been carrying resentment like a poison, allowing bitterness to take root in my heart. Father, I choose forgiveness not because they deserve it, but because I need the freedom. I release them from my judgment and place them in your hands. I cannot change what happened, but I can choose how I carry what happened. Today, I choose to carry love instead of hate, blessing instead of cursing, peace instead of perpetual pain. Have you been carrying someone else's debt of hurt? Have you been their prison warden while they walk free? This morning prayer is your key to freedom, your permission to release what was never yours to carry in the first place. Lord, I surrender the burden of my reputation, my image, what people think about me. The exhausting work of managing perceptions, controlling narratives, and maintaining facades. I've been carrying the weight of other people's opinions as if they determine my value or my future. You know my heart, you see my motives, and your opinion is the only one that ultimately matters. I cannot control how others interpret my actions or what stories they tell about my life. I can only live with integrity, speak truth in love, and trust you to defend my character when necessary. This morning prayer is my declaration of independence from the prison of people-pleasing. I am free to be authentic, to make mistakes, to grow at my own pace, to disappoint others while still pleasing you. My worth is not determined by public opinion, but by your unchanging love. Father, I bring you this burden of perfectionism that has been robbing my joy and stealing my peace. The impossible standards I set for myself, the self-criticism that never allows celebration, the fear of failure that prevents me from trying. I've been carrying the weight of being flawless in a world where grace abounds. You don't expect perfection, you desire progress. You're not looking for flawless performance, you're cultivating faithful hearts. My mistakes don't disqualify me from your love, and my failures don't remove me from your purposes. You use broken vessels, imperfect people, and wounded warriors to accomplish your perfect will. I release myself from the burden of having to get everything right the first time. I give myself permission to learn through trial and error, to grow through challenges, to mature through mistakes. Your grace is sufficient for my weaknesses, and your strength is made perfect in my imperfection. And this burden of comparison that steals my contentment, Lord, I surrender it to you. The constant measuring of my life against others, the social media scrolling that leaves me feeling inadequate, the wondering why my journey looks different from everyone else's. I've been carrying envy disguised as inspiration, jealousy masquerading as motivation. My story is unique, my path is individual, and my timing is perfect in your plan. What you're doing in someone else's life doesn't diminish what you're doing in mine. Their blessing doesn't reduce my portion, and their success doesn't minimize my potential. This morning prayer is my declaration that I will celebrate others without diminishing myself, learn from others without condemning my own progress, and appreciate others' gifts without devaluing my own talents. Comparison is the thief of joy, but gratitude is the guardian of contentment. Father, I think about the burden of unanswered prayers that I've been carrying like stones in my pocket, the requests I've made repeatedly that seem to fall on deaf ears, the situations I've prayed about for years without seeing change, the healing that hasn't come, the breakthrough that remains elusive. But you are not deaf to my cries, slow to respond, or limited in your ability to act. Your delays are not denials, your silence is not absence, and your timing is not indifference. Sometimes you say yes, sometimes you say no, and sometimes you say wait, but you always answer according to your perfect wisdom and love. I surrender my demand for immediate gratification to your perfect timing. I release my need to understand why some prayers are answered quickly while others seem to take forever. I trust that you see the bigger picture, know the better plan, and love me too much to give me anything that would ultimately harm me. This burden of health concerns that keeps me awake at night, I place it in your hands, Jehovah Rapha. The test results I'm waiting for, the symptoms that worry me, the aging body that reminds me daily of my mortality. I've been carrying fear about my future, anxiety about pain, and dread about what might be discovered. Whether you choose to heal my body or sustain me through whatever comes, I trust your perfect will. You are sovereign over every cell, every system, every symptom. My life is in your hands, not in the hands of doctors, not in the results of tests, not in the progression of illness. I choose to live fully in whatever body you've given me, to find joy despite physical limitations, to trust your grace for whatever health challenges may come. My hope is not in perfect health, but in perfect love, not in a body that never fails, but in a God who never fails. Lord, I surrender the burden of trying to understand your ways, the need to know why bad things happen to good people, why suffering seems random, why justice sometimes feels absent. I've been carrying questions that have no satisfactory answers, mysteries that cannot be solved by human logic. You are God, and I am not. Your ways are higher than my ways. your thoughts higher than my thoughts. What looks like chaos to me is orchestrated by your sovereign hand. What feels like abandonment to me is actually your presence in a form I don't recognize. This morning prayer is my declaration that I will trust your heart even when I cannot see your hand. I will believe in your goodness even when circumstances suggest otherwise. I will rest in your character even when your methods confuse me. Father, as I bring this time of prayer to a close, I want to thank you for the reminder that I was never meant to carry these burdens alone. You invite me to cast all my cares upon you because you care for me. Not some of my cares, not just the big ones, not only the spiritual ones, all of them. Every worry that steals my sleep, every fear that paralyzes my faith, every burden that bows my back, you want to carry them all. Not because you have to, but because you love me. Not because I deserve it, but because that's who you are. Not because I've earned the right to your help, but because I'm your child. I leave this place of prayer with lighter shoulders and a lifted spirit. The burdens I carried in, I leave at your feet. The weight that pressed down on me when I began, I transfer to your capable hands. The anxiety that gripped my heart, I release into your perfect peace. Thank you for meeting me in this morning prayer. Thank you for listening to every word, feeling every emotion, and caring about every concern. Thank you for reminding me that I'm not alone, not forgotten, not abandoned to figure life out by myself. As I go into this day, help me to remember what I've declared in this prayer. When the old worries try to climb back onto my shoulders, remind me that I've already given them to you. When fear tries to convince me that I'm on my own, whisper your promise to never leave me or forsake me. And when others are struggling under burdens too heavy to bear, use me to remind them of this truth. They don't have to carry it alone. Help me to be a living example of what it looks like to live free from the weight of worries, to walk in the lightness of surrendered living, to breathe the fresh air of authentic trust. Father, I seal this prayer with gratitude and expectation, grateful for your faithfulness in the past, expectant for your goodness in the future, and confident in your presence in this present moment. You are my burden bearer, my load lifter, my shoulder to lean on when life gets too heavy. In Jesus' name I pray with a heart full of thanksgiving and a spirit full of peace. Amen. Thank you for spending this time in prayer with me today. If this morning prayer touched your heart, if you felt the Lord ministering to you through these words, I want to invite you to take a moment and subscribe to this channel. When you do, you're not just supporting this ministry, you're ensuring that more prayers like this one reach people who desperately need to hear that they don't have to carry their burdens alone. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What burden did you surrender to the Lord during this prayer? What worry are you choosing to leave at His feet today? Your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear, to find the courage to let go of what they've been carrying. And if you're ready for another powerful prayer to strengthen your faith and deepen your relationship with God, click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now. Let's continue this journey of surrender, trust, and freedom together. God bless you, and remember, you never have to carry it alone.